I'll start with a quick review for this book, The Distracted Mind, Ancient Brain in High-Tech World. I'll give this book 4 out of 5. Very interesting. A view on distraction, multitasking, etc. About how technology, how this new world is affecting our attention. So I would recommend. The only reason you didn't got a 5 because some places are not very clear, some parts are not very clear, and some parts a little too long. So I think this book could be a little shorter, but overall I would definitely recommend. And good information. There's definitely good information offered in the book. Let's see the notes. Part of the reason why multitasking is so addictive is the result of novelty seeking. We always look. We like novelty. We search for novelty, and that's why we want to multitask, because there is novelty here and here and here. We want to get it all. Information foraging is a theory to explain why we seek information. Similar to the way we forage for food, we also forage for information, and we want to get. There is all kinds of strategies of how to forage for food, and there is also how to forage for information, so it could be similar because we search a little bit here and we move on. I'll talk a little bit more about it in later notes. According to one hypothesis, information seeking is following a foraging strategy that maximizes utility. So it's very similar. We try to maximize utility by information foraging. We look a little bit here. When we feel like there is not enough here, we will move on to a different patch. So it's divided into patches. When we feel like we maximize the utility of this patch, we'll move on to a different patch. Very interesting hypothesis. Unlike animals who react reflexively to the environment, humans have both bottom-up and top-down reactions. So the differences between humans and animals is that how the way they reflexively react to the environment. Humans, we have top-down and bottom-up reactions. Bottom-up is things that we basically not control, and things that arise. Top-down is cognitive control in a way. It's come up from the top down. Animals only have bottom-up, things that are reflexes, basically. They react reflexively to things, while we have that too, obviously, but we also have top-down, things that we want to do, things that are sourced from our brain, if you may. Internal interruption is interruption caused by our own mind, while external interruptions are caused by the environment. So that's the differences between internal to external interruptions. Internal interruptions is something that is interrupted. The source of the interruptions come up within us. Something we think about it. We writing an essay, for example, and we think about it, what we want to eat. That's internal. External interruption is something that a noise all of a sudden comes from the environment. Good distinction. Side note, imaging how things would work in real life is a very effective explanatory tool. So the author, or the two authors, I think, they offer this, how it will work in real life. So they have this imagining things like how the lion or the human that come to forage for food, how would it work, and how the processes within their own brain would work. Very, very effective explanatory tool they used. The prefrontal cortex allows us to behave not reflexively. That's what one of the functions of a prefrontal cortex is, so we will not, so that's a top-down, in a way, reaction. We spoke about it before. The prefrontal cortex is different in humans as it offers more connectivity to other brain regions. The difference is because some animals also have prefrontal cortex. The difference is that in humans, the prefrontal cortex is more connected to other regions, which might means that there is more control over more regions. Suppression of information is an active process that requires attention. If you want to suppress information, it requires attention. It's not a free activity in a way. It takes some energy to suppress information when we don't hear anything around us. It takes some attention. Reflexes says can be multitask. When something is a reflex, it could be multitask. We can do a few things. We can breathe and walk. We can do many things that are reflexes at the same time. Our brain tend to select only information that is in line with our goals. But this process is automatic and we have little control over it. That's what our brain does very effectively. Choose only the information that is important to us. There is a lot of research supporting it. The gorilla in the soccer play, when people missing it. There is a lot of other examples, but our brain is very good at it, and we don't have much control over what is being processed. But it does go in line with our goal. So we can change our goal. We can change our attention. So the goal is the important part, and everything that is not in line with our goal, everything that is not related, is being ignored in a way. Closing the eyes is an effective tool for better recollection of events. So closing the eyes, that's what people do when they try to concentrate, closing the eyes, and because it helps memorizing or recollection and remember things better. Task switching is not the same as multitasking. It's a different thing. We cannot multitask. We cannot do two things at the same time. Two tasks at the same time. What we are doing is task switching. We switch very fast, sometimes very effectively, could be between tasks, but we're not multitasking, which also goes in line with this one. In computers, similar to brains, task switching is more efficient than multitasking. That's what happens in computers. They don't multitask, they just switch between tasks very fast. That's what we're doing, the same thing. We switch between tasks and we're not multitasking. Angry Birds penetrated society, gaining 50 million downloads within 35 days. That's to show how fast it's a distraction in a way, it's a game, how fast it penetrated society, and things today can penetrate society very, very fast. We are now multitasking between tech devices as well. It's not only that we're reading something and we are talking on the phone or whatever. We also multitask between tech devices. From the TV to the tablet to the phone. 4 out of 5 people multitask while watching TV. Many people. We watch TV, but we multitask even when we do that. Side note, research showing lower grades among more distracted students could be a reverse correlation where those students would not do well even without the distractions. So there is some research show that lower grades among more distracted students. Students who are more distracted have lower grades, but the thing is that maybe they have lower grades even without the distractions. Maybe those people who are distracted are because they're not doing well generally. Those students are not doing generally, and they're distracted because they're distracted, because they're looking for what to distract themselves, but they wouldn't do good otherwise. They didn't address that. We react to notification as a threat and as something that requires our immediate attention. That's what, when there is a notification coming up, we think of it, the way we perceive it is almost like there is a lion all of a sudden, and that requires our immediate attention. So that's what, when we move to solve this problem right away. According to the author, background music decreased efficiency. The question is what type of music to which type of people. So it's something I disagreed. In general, there's another part that I didn't give this book a full 5-star rating is because there's some things I disagreed with. This whole attention thing, this whole multitasking thing, is I think one way we can work with it is it's better to just get better at multitasking or task switching versus not doing it at all. But that's beside the point. About this though is that they have research to show that music, background music, is distracting in a way. The thing is that I want to know which type of music, because they might play music to people that they didn't like the music. It was distracting music. There is all kinds of music. The reason I'm saying is because I listen to music and it helps me. Quite the opposite of distracting me. It helps me to focus. So I think it really depends to which people, which music. We seek new information after the return is diminishing. Similar to the way animals find a new patch to look for food. That's when it happens. We look for new information when we feel like there is a diminishing in returns. Same thing. It's the foraging hypothesis we spoke in the start of this note reviewing. That after a little while, when we feel like the utility has been maxed, we move on. According to some, boredom is wanting to do something but the inability to find a satisfying activity. That's a very good description of boredom in my sense. Is that boredom is wanting to do something but we can't find a satisfying activity. There is a lot of things you can do, but none of them is satisfying enough. Some task switching is done even when resources have not been exhausted, simply because there is other sources. But this is going back to the foraging hypothesis, but it's not always like that. It's not that we maximize the utility, because there is ample amount of information. We sometimes change or task switch even when we haven't exhausted the utility. We just move on because there is other sources. It's almost like there is a lot of trees out there. Instead of foraging in one, we just move on a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. We haven't fully finished one tree. We're just moving on. Drugs such as Adderall are not proven to be helpful in cognitive control, unlike the common belief. The longer the transit time, the longer it would take to complete the task when multitasking. So transit time is a very important terminology here. Is it how long it takes us to switch from one task to another? Some things are quickly. You're writing an email, could take a little longer, but if you're writing an essay, it's even longer. But some things are not taking too long. If you're I don't have a very good example for something that would not take a cleaning, for example. You're cleaning, so it doesn't take too long to transition from back and forth from cleaning. Some things do require or do have a higher transit time. Technology detox is similar to any other detox, which is unsustainable. And the authors recommend against detoxing because it usually is very hard to go all out or cold turkey. It's just doesn't work. According to the author, less email checking reduces anxiety. The thing is that we often check emails because we have free time, so we want to take a swing at incoming emails. So again, he says like less email checking reduces anxiety. I think that it really depends how long and how and when. It's not a binary thing. Because sometimes we check emails because we have a few minutes and we want to take one or two email out of the way. So it's not necessarily better to check only 3 times a day or 2 times a day. We have a few minutes to take a swing at it. And the last one, we need to adapt to the slow evolving real life conversations that often lead to boredom and phone use. Real life and conversations are evolving slower, much slower than technology or the virtual world. And what happened is that sometimes we get bored and we divert to or default to using our phones. That's what happens when people are going to the restaurant or any other ways. People just be doing that instead of talking, instead of socializing, because we think is that we need to adapt and know how to adapt or how to deal with the slower moving or slow evolving real life world. So that's it for the notes, and again, some interesting ideas, interesting information. I didn't agree with everything that is being said, but it's interesting overview of about distractions and multitasking. I would recommend. Thank you.